Chapter 1, Roots of Vision. The air in Addis Ababa hummed with possibility. In the 1960s, a city where the old world of imperial grandeur brushed shoulders with the new, where the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the rustle of silk and the distant chatter of diplomats. It was here, in the heart of Ethiopia, that a woman named Alike Tuwa began to see what others could not. She moved through the city's elite circles with an elegance that was both effortless and deliberate. Her wardrobe, a silent rebellion against the expectations of her time. Her dresses, often handcrafted with bold African prints, were not just fashion, they were statements. They whispered of a future where African creativity would not be confined to the margins of history. Alike was no ordinary noblewoman. Born into privilege, she had been raised to understand the weight of tradition, but her mind was restless. She had traveled beyond Ethiopia's borders to Europe and beyond, where she encountered modern art that spoke to her in ways she couldn't yet articulate. The canvases of Picasso, the sculptures of Brancusi were revolutionary, yes, but they also felt distant, as if they belonged to a world that had forgotten the richness of her own continent. And that was the problem. Africa's modernists were out there, creating, innovating, but their voices were drowned out by the noise of colonial narratives. One evening, a soiree in the Italian embassy, Alike found herself standing before a painting that stopped her breath. It was by a young Ethiopian artist, a piece that blended traditional motifs with bold, abstract strokes. The colors were alive deep ochres, fiery reds, and the deep blues of the Nile. The artist, a man named Skandar Bakashian, had titled it The Return of the Hidden Pharaoh. Alike felt something shift inside her. This was not just art. It was a declaration. You see it, don't you? A voice beside her said. She turned to find a man in a tailored suit, his eyes sharp with intelligence. It was Haile Selassie's cultural advisor, a man who had spent years trying to bridge the gap between Ethiopia's past and its modern identity. This is the future, he murmured, but it needs a home. Alike didn't answer. She didn't need to. The idea had already taken root. By day, she was a socialite, a woman who knew how to navigate the delicate politics of Addis Ababa's elite. But by night, she became something else, a collector, a curator, a visionary. She began acquiring works, not just from Ethiopia, but from across the continent. She sought out artists who were redefining what African art could be, from Nigeria's Ben Nwanwu, whose sculptures captured the grace of Ebook royalty, to Senegal's Ndiaye, whose paintings were like windows into another world. Each piece she acquired was a piece of a puzzle she was determined to complete, but collecting was only the beginning. The real challenge was convincing the world that these works deserved a place in history. In 1964, Ethiopia hosted the first World Festival of Negro Arts in Dakar, Senegal, a landmark event that brought together artists, intellectuals, and leaders from across the African diaspora. Alike was there, standing in the midst of it all, watching as the festival's curators struggled to display the sheer breadth of African creativity. The modernists were often relegated to the sidelines, their work treated as a curiosity rather than a movement. That was when she knew what she had to do. Back in Addis Ababa, she began to dream of a museum, not just any museum, but one that would stand as a testament to African modernism, a place where the works of Bakashian and Nwanwu and others would not be hidden away in private collections or overlooked in Western galleries, a place where the world could see the future of African art unfolding in real time. But dreams, as she well knew, required more than vision. They required allies. And so she turned to the one person who could make it happen. The emperor himself. Haile Selassie had always been a patron of the arts, but he was also a pragmatist. He understood the power of culture as a tool of soft diplomacy, a way to position Ethiopia as a leader on the global stage. When Alike presented her proposal, he listened carefully, his fingers steepled beneath his chin. And where will this museum be? He asked. She had already scouted the perfect location, a grand, neoclassical building in the heart of the city, once a palace, now a symbol of Ethiopia's evolving identity. Here, she said, spreading a blueprint across his desk, a place where the past and the future can speak to each other. The emperor studied the plans for a long moment before nodding, then let it be done. And just like that, the wheels were set in motion. But the real work was only beginning. The museum would need funding, curators, the team of people who believed in its mission as fiercely as she did. And most importantly, it would need a name. Something that captured the essence of what it stood for. Alike stood at the window of her home one evening, watching the city lights flicker below. The answer came to her in a whisper carried on the wind. Alike Art Museum. It was perfect. The next chapter of her story was about to begin.